Welcome to Amanda Hall's Psychic Mini Workshop Series here on Facebook Live every Wednesday morning from the Gold Coast. I'm really excited for this show. It's episode number 60, and it's Happy Easter to everybody around the world, wherever you are in this amazing globe of ours. My isn't the year going quickly again, but it's a very, very special, significant time of the year. Easter comes around once a year, and it's one of those times that you either love it or you hate it. And I think for most of us, I think it's a time where we sort of look at and we say, okay, great, we're going to have a few days off and we can relax and unwind, catch up on some movies, or, you know, just genuinely relax, sleep in, spend some time with the family, eat far too much chocolate, eat far too many pieces of pie and food that we don't normally eat at other times of the year. But there is also a religious connotation, which I'm not going to go into here today, because I believe religion and your belief systems and your rituals at these specific holiday times are a very personal thing, and they're not something for me to be discussing here on this mini workshop series that we have every Wednesday morning here on the Gold Coast. It's only 7:30 in the morning here, and it's a beautiful time of the day as we're heading into the cooler months of the year, which I must say aren't my favourite time of the year. My favourite time of the year is summer, but I certainly do enjoy these early mornings because I am a morning person and I like to sort of get up occasionally before the sun rises. I used to do that a lot when I was younger, not so much now. But I still do enjoy that time of the day when there's such peace and serenity as the sun is starting to rise, and we all get excited and positive for a brand new day. And today is no different. Today we're sort of heading into the Easter break, and this week's workshop is the second full moon in Libra, and we'll talk a little bit more about that shortly. So for those of you that have just joined us, and for those of you that don't know who I am, my name's Amanda Hall Psychic. I live here on the Gold Coast in Australia. I've been in the psychic industry well over 40 years now. I've been inducted into the Psychic Hall of Fame, and for 6 years in a row I've been voted Psychic of the Year here in Australia, voted by the public, I might say, not my peers. So I want to thank everybody that's taken the time to vote for me year after year. It really is an honour, and I really am very humble and very thankful that you all believe in what I do, and for me to have this opportunity to be able to share with you some of my wisdom and some of my belief systems about working with astrology. And I've been working with astrology seriously for well over 30 years, and I'm not saying I know it all by any stretch of the imagination. I think as astrologers, we all go into it searching and seeking answers, and I think for each and every one of us, we find different parts of astrology that fascinate us a little bit more than other sections of it. And I don't think there's any one person on the planet that can say that they've mastered it all, because there's so many different strands of it. For me, astrology has been about self-improvement, about trying to help people to get themselves on a better path, to improve their lives in some way, whether that's understanding their family members and the people that are closest to them better by understanding and working with their personality and understanding their positives and negatives, and we all have them. For other people, it's about, you know, applying it to the stock market. For other people, it's about making business decisions. For me, it's always been about working with people on a personal level and helping them understand their closest relationships the most. But during my time as working with astrology, I also became very aware of the moon cycles, that how much influence the moon cycles had on each and every one of us as an individual. And, you know, I'm sure we all sort of talk about, oh, yes, there's a full moon, or isn't the moon looking nice tonight in the sky? And sometimes we feel more emotional than we do at other times, and we sort of think, oh, it must be a bloody full moon. You know, I wouldn't be feeling like this if it wasn't that. And we tend to sort of make these rash statements without really understanding or even knowing whether it is a full moon, or is it just we're in a bad mood, or somebody's made us upset for the day and that's sort of set the tone for the day. But a lot of times, yes, it is down to where the moon is, what it's up to for the month. And because the moon is a luminary and it's not a planet, the sun and the moon are luminaries, they're not planets. The sun moves slower than the moon. The sun takes 365 days of the year to go around the zodiac, or 366 days in a leap year. So it follows the calendar year. But where the moon moves very quickly, it only stays in a sign for 2.5 days approximately. So it moves around the zodiac at lightning pace. So this is why we can be feeling great today and wake up tomorrow and feeling completely out of sorts, and, you know, don't want to talk to anybody and just want to pull the covers back up over our face and go back to sleep. And this is why. So the moon does play a big role in our lives in every way. So when we have things that change in our lives, now let's sort of get very clear on what the second full moon in Libra means for us. Let's do a little bit of homework here. Now, if we were to have 2 full moons in one calendar month, that would be known as a blue moon. Now, the key here is in the same calendar month, in that same month. If we had a second new moon in the same calendar month, in the month of March, say for example, then that would be known as a black moon. Now, when we have a second full moon in the same energy, and it's not in the same calendar month, it does not have any particular special label. It's just coincidental. It's not something that happens very often, but it's happened in, we had a full moon in March, and now we're having a second full moon in April in the same sign of Libra. So we can turn around and say, well, aren't we blessed that we get 2 full moons in Libra? We get 2 bites at the same apple or the same cherry to bring our lives more into balance on an emotional level. Now, disregarding whatever your star sign may be, it doesn't matter whether you're an Aries or whether you're a Virgo or you're a Capricorn or you're in Scorpio, or if you happen to be in the sign of Libra. Yes, of course, if you're a Libra, then the full moon's going to affect you just slightly more than the other 11 signs because it's in your own energy. But for each and every one of us, the full moon in Libra will affect each and every one of us in some way. So the full moon is actually on Friday, the 19th of April. Now, here in Australia, that will be Good Friday. Now, for many of us, we have family get-togethers on Good Friday. It's the start of the Easter break. It's the start of our religious beliefs. There's many different things that can happen on Good Friday. And one of the important things for people that are very religious or have always followed the same tradition, a lot of people don't eat red meat on Friday. Whether they believe it from a religious connotation or it's just habit because that's what they did when they were a child and they continue that tradition on when they're an adult, that's okay. It's your belief systems. It's what you believe in is how you should handle Good Friday. I'm not about to preach to you that what you should or shouldn't do on Good Friday. That's a very personal thing. Pardon me. Sometimes I get a frog in my throat. Pardon me. So with a full moon, when we're leading up to a full moon, pardon me, I like to work on a 7-day cycle. So 2 days on the approach. So from today, the 17th, would be the start of my full moon cycle. Pardon me. 2 days on the approach, 3 days of the full moon to encompass the 2.5-day cycle. So I rounded off to 3 days. So 2 days going up the hill, 3 days sitting on top of the hill, and then 2 days on the decline. That's how I like to work with all my moon cycles. For that reason, because the moon doesn't just suddenly become full and we all of a sudden start to feel the energy. We start to feel the energy slowly building on those 2 days leading up to it. Then we have the 3 days of the full moon where we're really sitting in that energy. And then we have the wind down of it where we're starting to let go of the full moon and we're heading towards the new moon. So it's a really important time that we honor how we're feeling at these times. Now, with the full moon heading towards Libra, Librian energy is about finding the truth. It's about bringing things into balance. It's about looking at everything from more than one side. So if there's an important issue or an important discussion that we need to have, we need to look at it from the other person's point of view and not just our point of view as well. We need to be aware that the other person's point of view is just as important as ours is. Sometimes the only way we can sort of resolve an issue is agree to disagree, that everybody has their own opinion and we won't push it down the other person's throat, but we won't bring it up for discussion either. We'll just call it a day and call it a truce and say, well, nobody's right, nobody's wrong, but we'll all have our own opinions and we move on to another topic. And sometimes that is the only solution. Now, it's really interesting as we head towards this festive season. I want to talk to you about what's going on in the universe as well as the full moon, because I think this will shed more light on how we're going to be handling this Easter break with, family and friends and things like that, or if we're not spending time with family and friends, how we're going to handle it personally or the things that could crop up during this time. Now, we have, as I've talked about before, we have 2 luminaries and we have 8 planets, or effectively people generally talk about we have 10 planets, but that's including the sun and the moon as luminaries. So heading towards this Easter, we've got Venus, the planet of love and affection. Now that's the things that we love to do, plus the people we love to be around, or people we are in love with, is holding hands or conjunct the planet Mercury, the planet of communication, the one that, you know, makes us open our mouth and sort of talk about things. Now they're both holding hands or conjunct in the sign of Pisces, in the last few degrees of the sign of Pisces. Now, anytime we have something in the sign of Pisces, it obviously means that we've got emotional issues that we've got to deal with because it's sitting in a water sign. But with Pisces being the final sign of the zodiac, it also means that we need to come to terms with release anything that is outlived, old. We no longer need to continue in our lives, things that we're coming to an end. It's like our trash bin being full and we're going to empty it so that we can put other things in the trash. Now, this is what happens when things go into Pisces, being the final sign. We're looking at it for one last time, hopefully, before we're going to find some sort of peace, some sort of resolution, some sort of ending, and some sort of way of then being able to release it out to the universe. Now, when you have that happening, and you also have Mercury holding hands or conjunct the planet Chiron, which the planet Chiron is called the wounded healer. Now, Chiron's role is to take anything that's hurt us in the past and try and find some sort of way of bringing it to a place of being healed and being complete again, of being able to sort of put that hurt in the past and say, okay, I've learnt that lesson, let's put that in the past and let's move forward. Now, Chiron is actually sitting in the next sign of Aries. So Chiron has actually gone into Aries, the first sign of the zodiac. So Chiron's sort of looking for new beginnings, new opportunities, ways to make things feel healed and new. And this is not a bad thing. This is a very good thing. So what I'm going to say to you is that we need to be sort of looking at ways that if we have communicative issues that we need to bring up with family or loved ones, that we bring them up in a gentle, delicate way, being mindful of how they may be feeling emotionally, and that they may still have some very raw emotions about the issues or the situations that we're going to bring up. But we may be able together to find new ways to deal with this or tackle the problem, or have a fresh, innovative way of looking at things and saying, wow, that was how I used to look at the problem, and I understand where you're coming from, and I understand that it's been very painful, and, you know, you've had a lot of emotions around it, but let's just maybe try and find a way through this situation or this problem or these issues together and give it a brand new sort of feel. Give it a feeling of sort of renewed energy, that we find something positive to take out of this very trying time, and that it brings us closer together, that together we can forge this new, exciting, pioneering sort of front, a new way of looking at the issue and moving forward, and not taking with us all the emotional baggage that was connected with it, that we've dealt with the emotions, we've dealt with the baggage, we've dealt with the pain, the hurt, the whatever, and we're happy to release that now together and move forward together in a bright, positive, new way of looking at things. So there's plenty of ways of looking at things over this Easter break and this full moon in Libra, that maybe we can look at things in a way that we've never tried to look at them before. Because if we look at the opposite sides of the zodiac, we have the planets that I was just talking about here, Venus, Mercury, and Chiron, all sitting at one side of the chart, and we have the full moon sitting at the opposite side of the chart. So it's like a push-pull situation of what's going on. So we've got Venus, Mercury, and Chiron on this hand, sort of saying, well, okay, here's the emotional issues that have been swirling around for a very long time, things that we've argued about, things that we haven't been able to find a way forward about, but we're hoping to now. And then on the other hand, we've got the full moon saying, well, okay, let's bring things into a balance. Let's take them up, take them down, and let's find a leveling out. So between that, we can find some sort of balance, I believe, to some of these issues and be able to move forward. I'm hoping against hope for your family. If there's been a big family rift and there's been an argument that's gone on for many, many years, by now probably everybody's forgotten how it even started, but we're still at war where Uncle Fred doesn't talk to Uncle Henry, and that's been that way for 15 years. Let's hope this Easter we can find a way of bringing those warring parties together, and we can actually have some laughter and reunite a family, that we can put those old wounds to bed and start afresh. Wouldn't that be amazing? Be lovely if some of the politicians around the world found the same peace and harmony in their arguments and their battles, but I think that's probably a little bit too much to hope for. But we can always be hopeful. I'm forever the optimist that the world will find peace, and that we will find solutions to the problems that plague us. But we as individuals, I think, can try and take this message forward over this Easter, that we can try and resolve anything that has been impossible to resolve before. So if there's been a family argument or a disagreement, and you feel now by looking at it through fresh eyes that maybe you can see a way of reuniting a family, that's the most powerful thing that you can do. I'm not saying in every instance this is possible. In some families and some of the situations, the answer is that it is impossible and it can never ever be reunited or repaired. And sometimes that is the only answer. But for the majority of cases, I think that we can learn to forgive and forget, and sort of, start to rise above these things, because it's usually ends up at the end of the day, it's usually something trivial that was the thing that caused the family argument anyway. It started out as a major issue, but it usually ends up, it's a very trivial or indiscreet or trivial sort of matter that was the final straw that brought it to this really big family disagreement, where family members go on and don't speak to each other for many, many years. And I think that's a terrible tragedy. For everybody that's alive today, we've all had some sort of loss in our family. We've all had sudden tragedies where somebody's passed away or been killed in a car accident, or something's happened and we think, oh, but if I'd had that one more day where I could have made peace with them, or I could have told them how important they were to me, or how much I loved them, or whatever. Well, now is that one last chance. You've got this one last day. Don't let time go by without making an effort to try and repair something that is, seems irretrievable, something that seems broken. If there's a way to try and reach out to somebody, now is the perfect time to do so. Planetary wise, with everything that I've been speaking about, you now have the opportunity to try and mend some of those fences. So let's make this Easter an Easter to remember. Yes, I know it's important for the Easter Bunny to come and bring you lots of chockies. And as you can see on set, I've got my beautiful big Easter egg there that Easter Bunny brought me last year, with lots of little Easter eggs in it. But I've also got my basket there waiting for the Easter Bunny to fill it up too this year. So it's really important. And it's really important that we set aside some family traditions and teach the younger members of our family, whether they be our children or our grandchildren, that it's a time of giving and receiving, but it's also a time of great sharing, of, setting down family traditions, of families getting together and spending some quality time together, and teaching children that Easter is not just always about Easter eggs on Sunday morning and the Easter Bunny hunt, but there's many layers to this particular special time of the year. And if you can lead by example where there's been warring factions in the family, and show and lead by example to the younger members that, even grown-ups have arguments and fight, but grown-ups can also find their way back to each other and can mend a family, and there can be laughter instead of cross words. I think that's a very powerful message that our little ones will take on throughout their life, throughout their journey, because they do absorb so much in their little lives that we don't realize as adults that they're absorbing things like a sponge, and taking notice and keeping it in their subconscious of how to resolve things, or how to act, or how to behave. So let's set some amazing examples this Easter. So if we were going to be working with candles this Easter, can I suggest this one, that we work with the full moon in a way that we're going to be working with it as maybe a family unit, looking at what needs to be repaired or what needs to be released from the family. Put down 3 things on a piece of paper that you think the family could do with releasing or letting go of, and they mightn't all be negative things, and they mightn't have all been arguments. It might just be, collectively letting go of issues, like, not everybody has to have the same belief system, that letting go that we all have to believe just one path, letting go of that and allowing it to be that we can all have our own individual belief system. So, there's lots of emotions, lots of things that I think we can write down and release and let go of at the moment with our full moon candle. So we would put it underneath the full moon candle. We'd write out our little list and burn it for 15 minutes to 2 hours a day. And as I said, I like to work on that 7-day cycle, so I'll be starting today. But this is also candles that you can burn over the Easter period with your family around, and they don't necessarily need to know it's a full moon. You can turn the candle around so they don't know what it is, but it's just enhancing that sort of energy. So that's our full moon candle. And because the full moon is in Libra, we would also be working with our Librian candle or our air sign candle. So again, same principles apply. Write your list, send it out to the universe, burning your candle for 15 minutes to 2 hours a day. And for those of you that like smaller candles, these are our travel set, and you can make up your own travel kit. This one's been made up with 2 air sign candles and a full moon candle this week, but you can choose any one of our 28 in the range. And for those of you that don't want to work with a flame, can I suggest a melt warmer? Pick these up at your local department store, your supermarket. Very cost effective. A couple of teaspoons of wax, 1 teaspoon of each at the beginning of the 7-day cycle, and then half a teaspoon every day. And again, working with the same list. So it's really, really important as we head over this Easter break that we be mindful of the things that we're releasing, and be mindful of the things as a collective group of people in a family or extended family that we would be liking to attract towards the whole family. Now, one of the things that I'd be looking to sort of put on my list as far as attracting would be peace and harmony, and would be good health to all of my family and all my family and friends. So there's, if you're looking and if you're struggling with what to write in a minimum of 3 things on your list to release, you might only have 1 thing, and it might be I want to release any bad energy between family members and the people that are going to be gathering around my table at Easter. And that might be all you want to release. You just want to release that. For other people, it might be wanting to release all my bad energy, like at times I get very bogged down with taking on board other people's negative energy. That might be another thing you want to release. I always work with the energy of the power of 3, but you can work with just 1 thing, or you can work with 10 things if you want to. But I think this year, more importantly, let's look at what we can try and attract towards us after we've done the releasing mechanism. What would we like to attract as a family collectively? And it's not always about money. It's about wanting to attract some peace, some harmony, some good health, some, positive conversations around the dinner table, spending more time with each other, not always being so busy with life that we forget the important things, and that's family and friends. So it is going to be a very, very powerful Easter. So I hope you enjoy the break with your family and friends. Don't eat too many chockies. They're not really that good for your health. I mean, unless it's dark chocolate. And who wants to sit down and eat just dark chocolate over Easter when it's a time when we do indulge a little bit? And for those of you that are, have a religious belief and things, traditions that you like to follow for Easter, I hope you enjoy those as well. Each family has their own different way of celebrating this festive time of the year. For me, it's a very personal time where I like to spend a little bit of time with myself as well as my family and friends, but I like to sort of reflect about what is important to me and what are the things that I need to be releasing or maybe reorganizing in my life. And yes, I do have my own personal religious beliefs that I do follow and my rituals over this time of the year as well. And as I said, that's a very personal thing, and it's not for me to sit here and discuss what that's about. You all have your own beliefs, but whatever it is, be kind to each other, have a smile on your face, and don't forget to be inclusive of maybe people that are around you in your local neighborhood that don't have anybody to share this special time of the year with. Don't forget, it's a very lonely time for people that are on their own, that are removed from their families, that live too far away, that couldn't get to be at a family gathering, whether it be for finances or health reasons, or there's many reasons why people don't get together at Easter. And you can be the one that can lighten that person's day by just inviting them over for afternoon tea or asking them to come and join you for Sunday lunch. It's the little gestures that make life really important. But don't forget to be kind to each other. And until next week, oh, and I forgot to mention, on next week's workshop, we're going to be talking about passion. Isn't that amazing? Passion conjures up a lot of different ideas in people's minds, but to me, passion is about what we're passionate about in our lives. So we'll be working with passion next week. For those of you that might want to book a reading with me, I won't be working over the Easter break, but I will be working again next week. You can head to my website, www.amandahallpsychic.com.au, and while you're there, why don't you sign up for our newsletter and claim your free astrology chart. We have free postage on all our products and services here at Amanda Hall Psychic in Australia, but for our overseas family, we do have a flat fee of postage, which has been reduced because we've got a new deal with a new postal organisation, which is great. So until next week, happy Easter and drive safely. Bye for now.